Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year Virtual Recognition Ceremony. I'm Paul Katnick, and I'm an Assistant Commissioner here at the Department of Education. You know, every one of us has felt the impact of this pandemic. It's created vast interruptions into what used to be our normal lives. However, it has not been successful in changing everything. While it's true we're not in a big hotel, we are not in a fancy ballroom, we have not gathered in person with several hundred people, but we are here to do what we do every October. We're here to honor a group of Missouri's very best teachers who represent thousands of talented and amazing teachers all across our state. Missouri's teachers are truly heroes, and we sincerely appreciate, now more than ever, their dedication, their professionalism, and their commitment to our future, our state's children. And so, let's begin. It's our pleasure to have honored teachers, administrators, colleagues, families, and friends, State Board of Education members and Professional Association members, and members of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education join us virtually this afternoon. We begin this celebration with opening comments from the President of the State Board of Education. Mr. Charlie Shields was appointed to the State Board of Education in August 2012 and as president in June of 2015. He is president and CEO of Truman Medical Centers, which he joined in July of 2010 after serving 20 years in Missouri's General Assembly as a member of the House, Republican member of the Senate, and President pro tem. And now, comments from Mr. Charlie Shields.
Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year virtual banquet. Traditionally, I like to thank everyone for making the trip to Jefferson City to celebrate this amazing group of educators. While the effort to attend, prepare, and get dressed for this year's event was perhaps easier than ever, I hope that you know the magnitude and significance of this night is no less important. Taking time to shine a light on the incredible work of Missouri educators is always meaningful. Perhaps this year more than ever. That's why this event is always one of my favorite nights of the year, regardless of where and how it's held. Even though I'm missing the in-person conversations with many of you about the work you're doing in your classrooms, I speak for the State Board of Education when I say we want to continue to hear the great work you're doing. To the 34 regional teachers of the year who are part of this event tonight, I know that you are just a segment of a large group of Missouri educators who are providing high-quality learning opportunities for students in our schools. You and your colleagues are so important as we continue to prepare our state's children for the next level, be that the next grade in elementary school, the first steps into high school, or out of our doors and into college or a career. I say it every year, but I truly believe it. A Missouri student would be fortunate to have a group of teachers like you, the Regional Teachers of the Year, semifinalists, finalists, and the 52nd Missouri Teacher of the Year lined up to prepare him or her for success beyond graduation. I look forward to the moments ahead tonight where we get to hear from many of you, including Misty Grandel, our 2020 Missouri Teacher of the Year. Misty, in the midst of incredible uncertainty in education and beyond, you have served both the Fordland R3 School District and our great state with your calm, steadfast leadership and undeniable integrity. I offer my most heartfelt appreciation for your time as this state's Teacher of the Year. To Darian Cockrell, our 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year, the experience ahead is second to none. As an elementary school PE teacher, your message will inject a spark into the education profession. I am so excited to see what Mr. DC has in store for our state and the nation this year. But before we move into the rest of tonight's program, I am honored to introduce a special guest. Michael L. Parson was sworn in as Missouri's 57th governor on June 1st, 2018. He came into the role of governor with a long-time commitment to serving others with over 30 years of experience in public service. Governor Parson previously served as 47th Lieutenant Governor of Missouri after serving in the Missouri House of Representatives from 2005 to 2011 and in the Missouri Senate from 2011 to 2017. He served 6 years in the U.S. Army and was the sheriff of Polk County from 1993 to 2005. We are especially grateful to the governor's commitment to public education in our state. Governor Parson and First Lady Teresa live in Bolivar. He was raised on a farm in Hickory County and graduated from Wheatland High School in Wheatland, Missouri. He is a small business owner and a third-generation farmer who currently owns and operates a cattle operation near Bolivar. Please welcome Governor Mike Parson.
Hi, I'm Governor Mike Parson. I want to thank all the teachers who joined us virtually today for choosing a profession that touches so many lives, especially the lives of those that will shape Missouri's future. We owe it to all our students to provide the highest quality education in Missouri, and I am confident that with outstanding teachers like those we are recognizing tonight, our children are receiving the best education possible. I am honored to be here this evening to recognize Missouri teachers for their excellent work to educate young minds. No person has a greater impact on a child's education than a teacher who helps them flourish and grow. Our students are the future of our state, and it is through our teachers that they learn the knowledge and skills to succeed. Congratulations to all the finalists and our Missouri Teacher of the Year, Darion Cockrell, or, as his students know him, Mr. DC. You are shining examples of excellence in the teaching profession. Thank you all again for your dedication to helping our students become the best that they can be. I know I would not be standing here before you today if it weren't for the outstanding educators in my life. It is an honor and privilege to be the 57th Governor of Missouri. May God bless you, may God bless the great state of Missouri, and may God bless the United States of America.
We sincerely express our appreciation to Mr. Mike Parson, Governor of the state of Missouri, and also to Mr. Charlie Shields, President of the State Board of Education. Events like these simply are not possible without a tremendous amount of work from many people. I'd like to recognize the following individuals and organizations that assist us in the selection process for the Missouri Teacher of the Year. First of all, members of our State Board of Education. Also, members of the Teacher Selection Committee. These include Linda Glasgow, who was the 2016 Teacher of the Year, Darby Valenti Huff, who was the 2017 Teacher of the Year, Beth Davey, who was the 2018 Teacher of the Year, Shelley Parks, the 2019 Teacher of the Year, Misty Grandel, the 2020 Teacher of the Year, Henry Russell, professor at UCM and a member of MASA, Melissa Randall, the Executive Director of the Missouri School Boards Association, Dina Layton, Director, Missouri State Teacher Association, Ann Jarrett, Teaching and Learning Coordinator with Missouri National Education Association, Susan Rupert, President, Missouri Parent Teacher Association, Jaron Cochran, Assistant Executive Director, Missouri Association of Rural Educators. We also thank our RPDC directors and staff for their hard work in hosting the Regional Teacher of the Year selections. We thank our 3 teacher associations, MNEA, MSTA, and AFT. We also thank the Kansas City Chiefs, who honor our winners each year. We thank the Daughters of the American Revolution, and I thank my colleagues here at DESE, including the Commissioner and the Executive Leadership Team, our media folks and communications people, and members of the Office of Educator Quality for their hard work. Each year, 34 Regional Teachers of the Year are selected from the hundreds of teachers nominated or designated by their school districts to compete in the Regional Teacher of the Year program. Each teacher completes an application that's read and scored by a regional selection committee. Now, let us recognize our Regional Teachers of the Year. Lindsay Tinney. Ms. Tinney is a 5th through 12th grade special education teacher at Colcamp High School in the Colcamp R1 School District. Paula Vale. Ms. Vale is a 7th through 12th grade science teacher at Winfield High School in the Winfield R4 School District. Sarah Elizabeth Worth. Miss Worth is a K through 5th grade special education teacher at Rebecca Boone Elementary in the Warren County R3 School District. Mike Krostowski. Mr. Krostowski is an 11th through 12th grade culinary arts teacher at Herndon Career Center in the Raytown C2 School District. Kyle Plummer. Mr. Plummer is a 10th through 12th grade social studies teacher at Blue Springs South High School in the Blue Springs R4 School District. Michelle Pressler. Ms. Pressler is a 9th through 12th grade agricultural teacher at Fort Osage Career and Technology Center in the Fort Osage R1 School District. Corinne Russell. Ms. Russell is a 9th through 12th grade French teacher at Central High School in the St. Joseph School District. Linda Beckett. Ms. Beckett is a 6th through 8th grade physical education teacher at Sullivan Middle School in the Sullivan School District. Jacob Flora. Mr. Flora is a K through 8th grade STEAM teacher at Lowdell School in the Lowdell R14 School District. Cassandra Mills. Miss Mills is a 6th grade science teacher at Kelly A. Burleson Middle School in the Fredericktown R1 School District. Melissa Thomas. Miss Thomas is a 2nd grade teacher at Jefferson Elementary School in the Cape Girardeau 63 School District. Dion Anderson. Miss Anderson is a K through 5 reading teacher at Harvest Ridge Elementary School in the Francis Howell R3 School District. Cheryl K. Calcaterra. Ms. Calcaterra is a K through 5 reading teacher at Hancock Place Elementary School in the Hancock Place School District. Joel Crenshaw. Mr. Crenshaw is a 6th through 7th grade English teacher at Northwest Middle School in the Hazelwood School District. Tricia Oddens. Ms. Oddens is a 6th through 12th grade library science teacher at Valley Park School in the Valley Park School District. Jefferson Stevens. Mr. Stevens is a 6th grade ELA teacher at Bernard Middle School in the Melville R9 School District. Nathan Williams. Mr. Williams is a 7th, 8th grade science teacher at Bayless Junior High School in the Bayless School District. Allison Pittman. Miss Pittman is a 6th grade math teacher at Joplin South Middle School in the Joplin School District. Amy Reedus. Miss Reedus is a kindergarten teacher at Maryville Elementary School in the Maryville R9 School District. And once again, please join me in congratulating the 19 Regional Teachers of the Year. The 34 Regional Teachers of the Year are invited to submit an application for the Missouri State Teacher of the Year. The application is made up of the teacher's resume, third-person biography, and 5 essay prompts. The State Teacher of the Year Selection Committee selects the semifinalists in round 1 of the competition after reading and scoring all the state applications. Now, let us recognize our Teacher of the Year semifinalists. Jacob Baker. Mr. Baker has been a science teacher for 6 years. He teaches at the Thomas Jefferson Middle School and Jefferson City Public Schools. Mr. Baker says, "I define my success in teaching by the following. If the world has been changed for the better, only then have I achieved my goal." Jesse Baker. Mr. Baker has been a mathematics teacher for 6 years. He teaches at the Billings High School in Billings R4 School District. Mr. Baker describes his love of teaching by saying, "It's the moments where my students are caught up in discovery. They are me at 4 years old, searching for the heartbeat in themselves and others, except now, it's the heartbeat of what makes math beautiful." Tanya Claybrook. Ms. Claybrook is an elementary teacher for 21 years. She teaches at Highlandville Elementary School in the Spokane R7 School District. Ms. Claybrook says, "Teaching is more than academics. It's showing children they matter." Erin Graves. Ms. Graves has been a science teacher for 7 years. She teaches at Herculaneum High School in the Dunklin R5 School District. Ms. Graves believes that all students deserve not only an excellent education, but one that engages and helps them make real-world connections they'll use throughout their lives. Jennifer Gill. Ms. Gill has been an elementary teacher for 21 years. She teaches in the Shelbina Elementary School in Shelby County R4 School District. Ms. Gill says, "I firmly believe that all students have the capability to be learners and leaders." Summer Kelly. Ms. Kelly has been a project-based teacher for 21 years. She teaches at Liberty Academy in the Liberty School District. Ms. Kelly says, "I credit my belief in being a hard worker, being the best you can be, and my commitment to never stop learning to Patricia Hardy, my first administrator." Joseph Coburl. Mr. Coburl has been a history teacher for 22 years. He teaches in Lawson Middle School in the Lawson R14 School District. Mr. Coburl says, "I do not measure success in test scores, pass-fail rates, or final grades in my classes, but in being able to positively influence the lives of students whom I've had the honor of teaching." Amy Rendell. Ms. Rendell has been an English teacher for 22 years. She teaches at Hannibal High School in the Hannibal 60 School District. Ms. Rendell says, "Every child can succeed, no matter their race, their background, or their struggles. I've always held the belief that education is the great equalizer." Once again, join me in congratulating the 8 semifinalist Teachers of the Year. Seven finalists are selected from the group of semifinalists in round 2 of the competition after the State Teacher of the Year Selection Committee reads, scores, and discusses each candidate. Each finalist is then interviewed by the committee, and after deliberation, the Teacher of the Year is selected. Now let us recognize our Teacher of the Year finalists. Ashlyn Brantley has been a physical education teacher for 10 years. She teaches at Platte County High School in the Platte County R3 School District. Ms. Brantley states, "With all that is affecting our country and the world this year, my message for 2021 is to help our students find their voice in a changing and challenging world. Some students do not feel they have a voice in their school or even their education. We need to provide them with many opportunities to find their voice and help them learn how to use it in a positive way. We cannot shield our students, silence them, or force one way of thinking. This is the time when they start asking questions and are looking for trust and transparency so they can evaluate their feelings and make decisions about where they stand. After all, they are the ones who will be leading us in the future. Educating, forming clubs, creating activities, celebrating diversity, and having meaningful conversations are a few ways that can contribute to giving our students a voice."
It clicked, I can put two things I love doing together. So sports and working with kids, and I just get the best of both worlds. And I like being that person that can help them get to the next level, whatever that may be for them, to help them in that process. I get to learn from them as well as I'm going through this. So it's that growth process. I would like my students to leave me better than when they came to me. And that can be at a certain skill, that can be on my subject area, because I also teach health as well. And that could be in just life lessons, or they're, being a good person. I'll take any of that. And again, as long as they're leaving me better than when they came, I feel like that would be successful. I was talking to my health students. We talk about being health literate, and part of that is being a responsible, productive citizen. There's so much going on in this world that our kids are experiencing, and we have to be ready and willing to be open and talk to them about it. But at the same time, we have to use each other, my coworkers, we have to work with each other and help each other through that as well. So we're not alone. And like I said, we're all going through this together, but we need to make sure that we're making ourselves better in order to help our students. We have to build those relationships so we know what they want to get out of their education in order for us to help them through it. I always say it's not about me, it's about giving my kids the tools that they need to be better after they leave me. So hopefully I'm doing that with every single one.
Please join me in congratulating Ashlyn Brentley. Dr. Kathy Farrar has been a science teacher for 17 years. She teaches at Marquette High School in the Rockwood School District. Dr. Farrar believes that developing scientifically literate future citizens is the biggest challenge in education today. Although not all students will become scientists, all students need to be scientifically literate consumers. Students are more likely to get their information from the internet than any other source. When they have a concern or question about someone's health, the environment, or how something works, they Google it. However, once they get the results, they are often simply choosing the first one, assuming it's the best match when in reality it may not. Being able to locate, analyze, and determine credibility of information combined with data literacy is essential for a citizen consumer to make informed choices. Dr. Farrar says, I am constantly seeking out new approaches to teaching that include reading about cutting-edge science, engaging with experts, and developing data literacy. These nuggets become the stepping stones to building a scientifically literate student and a future citizen.
Being an educator is absolutely hands down the best career choice. I could have gone into a science career, but I think that early exposure to some really good teachers that were, outside of just science really made me think I want to be a teacher. I know that it's a ton of work. I put in lots and lots and lots of time to ensure that my kids are getting high quality lessons, that I'm giving them feedback in a reasonable amount of time, and that we're constantly focused on improving ourselves, my skills as well as their understanding and skills. And so they come in ready to go, all kinds of questions, and they learn very quickly that failure is just part of the process, and so they learn how to get over that. And then, after they've tripped and fallen a couple times, and we've picked ourselves back up, and then they get a success, and that success just breeds more success. And so one of the things I think makes a really good educator is the willingness to change practice. So this is the start of my 18th year. I've always been in the classroom. I've always been face-to-face. And so my bag of tricks is really built around being face-to-face. And so how you modify that bag of tricks so that you bring on new tricks and you can repurpose your old tricks, right? For this new learning environment, I think that we can do this. We can provide quality education for our students, whether it's in person or virtually or part-time or full-time. I think that across the board, Missouri educators have the skills, the knowledge, and the ability.
And please join me in congratulating Dr. Kathy Farrar. Clarence Hines has been a criminal justice teacher for 8 years. He teaches at North Technical High School in the Special School District. Mr. Hines states that although he served as a police officer with distinction, he didn't fall in love with policing the way he did with teaching. As I prepared for my first year of teaching at North Technical High School, I knew I wanted to create a classroom community where every student felt seen, heard, and supported. I wanted to cultivate an environment that felt safe for students to wrestle with the law and the Constitution as it relates to their collective contexts. I wanted to be a teacher who fathered the fatherless. In my classroom, I lead learning communities where my students are my partners, and as my partners, they understand that they have a voice in how we learn. Research suggests that implicit biases on our classroom can negatively affect student achievement. It affirms that before we can educate our students effectively, we must first see the beauty and the common ground of our shared humanity.
I don't know that I chose teaching. I kind of feel like teaching chose me. I had never thought of giving any thought to teaching in any capacity at all. I was always the one looking to help people to advance, to go from where they are to bear fruit in whatever they're doing. Like I've always just been that guy, and I never thought that I'm just was teaching. So I've trained many officers. My 20 years of law enforcement was to prepare me for my true life's calling. We're in a world that is hostile to justice, hostile to law enforcement, right? That is just the truth. Well, think about the context that I teach in. I teach in a neighborhood, in a school that is 5 minutes away from Ferguson, Missouri. I think the effectiveness of my program can be measured by this one truth, is that since that incident and in the current climate that we're in, that my numbers have remained consistent. That there is still, every year, there is a waiting list to get into my program. And I am a teacher. I know that now. And so I keep doing it because I wouldn't be happy doing anything else.
Please join me in congratulating Clarence Hines. Armando Johnson has been a Spanish teacher for 22 years. He teaches at Central High School in the Springfield R13 school district. Mr. Johnson believes that students all need heroes they can see and interact with daily. These heroes become their champions, helping fill the gaps by providing guidance and opportunities that they would not normally experience. Every adult in a school has an opportunity each day to be the person who we needed when we were younger. I believe the student's champion must be everything the student can't be, so the student can see the possibilities that lie ahead. I speak to students about not only finding those heroes they can physically see and touch, but also becoming them. Recent world events have deeply affected the educational system. Before the pandemic, there was a strong need for educators to make an impact on the lives of our students. Those most affected students who are in need are going to need champions now more than ever. The impact of COVID-19 on our marginalized students will present a pivotal moment for educators. Students will need someone to be a champion and guide them during these uncertain times.
I am obsessed with seeing the beginning and working it to the end. You know, like when you think of that first day of school when you have kids who have never taken Spanish, and then my goal, I cannot wait to see in May how far I can take them. I love watching the process or being involved in it and influencing the process and sparking their learning, because I'm always trying to think of how can I do this better. And I think effective teachers are the ones who do that time and time again. They continue to think about it. They're not afraid to try different things, different strategies. They learn how their kids learn, and then they just get after it, trying to make those things happen. I wanted to go outside of our building and start reaching kids before they came to us academy, where I go to the elementary schools of the kids who will later be students at Central High School. And I start building those relationships. And it's just trying to be a part of that community because they need to see teachers. And in my case, a teacher of color, I think that really helps. Seeing that we are out there because in the neighborhoods that we go to, they need to see all of those positive aspects of their community. I always try to consider myself a walking, safe place, for students. I want that every kid, when they see me, they know that, okay, that guy's looking out for my best interests. I want to be who I needed when I was younger. That they know that I'm that person. If they need something in terms of equity and diversity, and I try to provide that avenue for them in any way possible.
Please join me in congratulating Armando Johnson. Matthew Ketteman has been a music teacher for 17 years. He teaches at the Longview Farm Elementary School in the Lee Summit R7 School District. Something magical happens when an idea or skill clicks in a learner, is how Mr. Ketteman describes teaching. He says, having a hand in the creation of this enchantment is addicting. I'm an elementary music teacher, and on paper, that may not sound joy-filled. In fact, to some, making music creates fear and anxiety. But you have not experienced delight until you have jumped and danced with a group of kindergartners. They are glee factories. There's nothing stopping them from spreading their joy. No barriers, no biases, no prejudice. Somewhere along the way, we lose this carefree demeanor. Fear creeps in. Doubt rises up. We are living in historic times of disconnect. Whether from quarantine due to the virus, or prejudicial injustice, or students are feeling more isolated than ever. If there was ever a time we need to learn how to self-regulate our emotions and to empathize with another so we can find joy, it's now.
I sometimes get jealous of people that have jobs where my job today is to build this fence, and then that fence is built and I can look at it at the end of the day and I built that fence. Look at that fence. It's strong, it's sturdy. And we don't always get to see the fence get built. We're we know the fence is going on, but we're waiting for the fruition of our work to come. And when it does, holy cow, it washes over us, and it just is huge. My mother was an educator. She taught in 5th grade through 2nd grade classrooms. But far before she was a classroom teacher, I got to see her differentiate and adapt to my brother. See, my brother was born with an intellectual disability. And so I got to see this passion for helping someone discover something they didn't think they could do. I think that's that microcosm of awesome as teachers that we get to see every once in a while. It doesn't happen every day, but when it does happen, it gives us that fuel to keep going further and further each time. When we see that click happen, when we see that aha moment, when we see students move beyond where they thought they could be into a realm that is new to them and they're excited about it. To me, that means that I'm doing something that is extending beyond my classroom. And life happens outside of these walls. So when they want to take my classroom out into the world, that tells me that I've done something great, that I'm excited that they're sharing it. I mean, can you think of another job that does that? Maybe I'm biased, but I think we have the most impact filled with the most joy, and that's hard to beat.
Please join me congratulating Matthew Ketteman. Rebecca Wynn has been a STEM teacher for 9 years. She teaches at Maryville Middle School in the Maryville R2 School District. Ms. Wynn states, throughout the technical shift in my lifetime, it has become apparent to me that science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM education, is foundational to having a well-rounded life. Not only is STEM education necessary to foster the 21st century learning skills to become career-ready, but it provides an avenue for all students to be successful. I've seen students who struggle in core classes excel in classes with hands-on, authentic problem solving. Providing students the opportunity to find their genius is extremely rewarding. Ms. Wen thinks this is especially important for girls. She says, if we fail as a society to utilize the minds and perspectives of half the population, how can we effectively drive innovation to solve today's tough problems? It's time to disrupt the stereotypes of boys being risk takers and girls being the princess who needs saving. Girls need to be confident and empowered to solve the world's problems through engineering and computer science.
I was a biology major. My family, they're all biology. And I just kind of thought that, I enjoyed it. I have pursued that. I was told that I was going to be doing Project Lead the Way. We were going to be implementing 3 different sections, and I could pick. Automation and robotics was one of the last on my list, but that was the equipment that got ordered. So we had about $10,000 worth of equipment. And so I was going to be teaching automation and robotics, and I loved it. And it absolutely changed my life. I've always thought of myself as kind of a biologist, but not anymore. And just knowing what that feels like, to find your passion and want to learn. I want my students to want to learn because it changes everything. I love the creativity, and I call my room controlled chaos. Just the excitement of hands-on. It is a little bit different this year, but the hands-on education and just they're so creative, and I'm blown away on a daily basis at the things that they create, and just the pure joy and excitement when they solve a puzzle or a challenge or design something that works the way they want. It's a challenging time, but I really think it's also an opportunity to make the change in education that is needed. And there really are some positive things that can come out of this. And you're never alone in education. And there are lots of teachers, amazing teachers that are willing to share and lend a hand. And I really do believe that we're better together. And teachers are awesome people that are ready to help.
Please join me in congratulating Rebecca Wynn. We now come to a very special moment in this celebration this afternoon. It's our honor and our sincere appreciation that we express to our 2020 Missouri State Teacher of the Year, Misty Grandel, a high school English teacher from Fordland R3 School District. Students, parents, teachers, and administrators all across our state, as well as those of us here at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and members of our State Board of Education, have been truly fortunate to have Ms. Grandel serve this past year as our state's Teacher of the Year. She is a tremendous advocate for our profession and a terrific representative of the great teachers we have in schools all across our state, and we most sincerely thank her for her service to all of us. And now, Missouri's 2020 Teacher of the Year, Misty Grandel.
Thank you, Dr. Katnick. Gosh, good evening. You know, this is the first semi-face-to-face speech I've given since March, and so I have a few butterflies that remind me of when my students returned to the classroom in August. And it's just so special to be here, just like it was with them, and at the same time, it's a little bit strange. So, but gosh, what a journey 2020 has been. Last October, when I was so honored to be named the 2020 Missouri Teacher of the Year, I truly had no idea what was in store for me. I was expecting Washington, D.C., and going to space camp, meeting the president, going to Princeton, getting to advocate for teachers and for students, and really talking about equitable access to anyone who would listen. What I got was a pandemic, virtual learning, and So many Zooms. But I have to say what's truly amazing about that is that I feel like it's been a better experience than I would have had if it had been a normal year. I feel so fortunate. I have been so inspired by my experiences and by the teachers that I have been able to meet through this. So since March 13th, I have not been allowed to travel or to speak in person, but in a lot of ways, my experience has really, truly been so much more important. I've been given the opportunity to make a real difference in education this year. Not in a sluggish way, the way that usually policy is changed, but urgently, because we all recognize that we have to find a new path, that because of what is happening, change had to occur quickly. I got to meet with Dr. Van Dieven, the commissioner, regularly to discuss policy and to advocate for teachers and for rural schools. And I just want to take just a second to say how fortunate we are as a state, because Commissioner cares so much about teachers that she chooses to listen and to take into consideration what we have to say. And I am so impressed with her, and I feel like she's so incredible. And I have to say to her, she may remember last year, I still want to be the commissioner just like her when I grow up someday. So I also have met with the governor, and I have been able to discuss the specific needs of my school, rural schools in specifics, and then just schools in general as we headed back this fall. I've been on educator task forces, helping to develop guidelines and create resources for schools and teachers to use as we have returned to campus, if that has been our choice, or for those schools who have remained virtual. I've written articles and been interviewed for state and national publications in an effort to support teachers and parents as we have tried to figure this out together. And I've spoken on tons and tons of panels and encouraged teachers that way across the country. And actually, one of the best things is I've been able to create webinars to help teachers as we've figured this out. I've been able to meet with teachers across the state to figure out best practices during distance learning. And really, that's probably one of my favorite things that have occurred, because I feel like that idea of having a connected network of teachers has finally happened. And we are able to come together and to support each other in ways that we have never before. So what all of that means is that I've been on the front lines as our state and nation have navigated a new way to educate kids. I've been able to advocate for students and teachers as the situation has truly been life or death. And certainly I would never choose this path or what we've had to go through, but I can honestly say that the work I have been a part of is so much more important than Space Camp or a trip to DC could have possibly been. It's been an honor to try to get to make a difference for our schools and for our kids. So if anything, my passion has grown. My desire to make a difference and to see each kid as an individual and to understand each one in their specific situation has become a fervent need of my own. As well, I think that there have been some incredible lessons these past 8 months for educators as we continue to navigate educating our students in the future. Lessons that are important well beyond the pandemic and the virtual learning that have consumed us all so much recently. Some of those lessons are hard truths. What we now know, what we cannot ignore, is that our schools face deep inequities. Deep inequity that a Band-Aid cannot fix. We know that rural schools and inner city schools don't have internet. At my school, 35%, yes, just 35% of students have high-speed internet at home. Those same schools don't have the teacher manpower to create or run their own virtual schools, and they don't even have the manpower often to offer classes like dual credit or AP in a regular school year. These issues won't go away when the pandemic does. and we cannot let them. We cannot choose in good conscience to continue to allow these inequities to occur for our kids. We must find a way to meet the needs of every student in our state, even if that means facing those hard truths and difficult changes to the established way that things have always been. Some of those lessons, though, in 2020 have been so inspiring and so hopeful as well. We also know that we have a population of students who absolutely thrive. I mean, they thrive in the virtual environment. We know that we must continue to give them access to that environment. And within that opportunity, provide the best education possible. We need to focus on each individual child in that realm as well and meet the needs of those kids specifically in that realm. Some of those lessons in 2020 have been a little bit of both. They've had some good and they've had some bad about them. We recognize our students were struggling emotionally. They were struggling with mental health during distance learning. And so social emotional learning became a buzzword. And then it became something so much more. It finally became something every district recognizes must be embraced. We found even more than we ever believed before that our teachers and administrators, our cooks and our bus drivers are heroes in our kids' lives. We found that teachers are putting every ounce of themselves into their kids. And we found that even though it can't possibly be sustainable, our teachers just keep finding ways to give more. We now know that even though we may not all agree on the way to deal with every situation, we now know that even though every district is a little bit different and there is no one size fits all, that in the end, each one of us wants what is best for kids and are willing to do whatever it takes, spend however many hours are in a day to give it to them. And isn't that what we're celebrating tonight? We're celebrating teachers and the incredible things that they do because they want to help kids. This group of teachers, our Teachers of the Year, represent that ideal better than any of us could have imagined. I congratulate each one of the Regional Teachers of the Year, each one of the finalists, and I congratulate Darion. Missouri is so lucky to have each of you loving our kids and fighting the good fight every single day. Know that you are making a difference. No matter how hard this year is, you are changing lives. Darion, you have a tremendous year ahead of you, and I can't wait to see all that you accomplish. Know that this is just the beginning of something so special, so wonderful in your life. You've been given an amazing opportunity, and I know that you will represent the 70,000 teachers in Missouri so well, and all of Missouri's students too. So let me finish with thank you. Thank you to the Department of Education. Thank you to Commissioner Van Dieven. And thank you to Dr. Katnick. Thank you to Shelley Parks for being an amazing mentor and friend. Thank you to Mo Stoy for always being there for me. Thank you to the legislators and to each of you who choose to work for our schools on the State Board of Education. And thank you to each of the teachers in Missouri. Thank you for allowing me to serve you this year, and thank you for always finding ways to better educate our kids.
I think we would all agree that 2020 has been anything but a normal year for any of us. And it's at times like these that leadership matters more than anything else. True, Dr. Margie Van Dieven has been an educator for over 30 years. And she's been a high school English teacher. And she was a school administrator. And now she has been with the Department of Education for 15 years. But Dr. Van Dieven is, above all else, a leader. She has shown herself to be a passion-filled advocate for Missouri's students and their families, for the teachers and administrators and all educators across the state. She has been our state's education leader throughout the challenges that all of us has faced this year. Please join me now in welcoming our Commissioner of Education, Dr. Margie Van Dieven.
Well, thank you so much for that, Paul. I'm so grateful for those remarks. It has been truly an honor to serve as the Commissioner of Education this year, and just really grateful to do so. Thank you very much for that introduction. And Misty, thank you. Yes, I remember very, very well last year when you made that remark that someday you wanted to be the commissioner. And I remember it because I was excited because I thought she'd be a great commissioner. But I was also excited because I think every teacher out there, when I hear teachers assuming and seeing themselves in these leadership roles, it's just so important. Your voice has been tremendous. You've been a great example to all of us in this pandemic that things might not go the way we had planned for them to go, and yet it works out in many ways that we could have never seen. And so you haven't lost your voice for advocacy for equitable access. We've heard it loudly and clearly, and I'm glad that you're going to continue forward with that call. Thank you so much. You did such a fabulous job this year. And now it is my really great honor to introduce the 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year. Darian Cockrell, or as you've heard tonight, Mr. DC, has been a physical education teacher for 9 years. He teaches at Crestwood Elementary School in the Lindbergh School District. These are Mr. DC's words from his application. He says, "I've become more than just a teacher for many of my own students. I'm a father figure, a counselor, a role model, superhero, best friend, and most importantly, their #1 fan. Considering my own students' interest in building trust has become the foundation of my lesson preparation. Incorporating music, dance, games, and even real-world problems into my units has revitalized the way my students view fitness and has increased overall engagement. I get to know my kids on a personal level, inquire about their interests, and support them in their hobbies outside of school. We joke, laugh, hug, high five, and fist pound. This positive attitude and open door policy allows my students to feel comfortable, confident, and safe in class. Caring teachers changed my life, and now I have the opportunity to pay it forward every day in the way that I energize students with my personality, love, support, and passion for life, just as my former teachers did with me. As educators, I believe we have an unwritten rule on how we should go about teaching. Everything we do should be in an effort to make connections, build trust, and make sure all students we touch find the success that lives within them. Students are extremely diverse in the ways they learn. They have different backgrounds and home lives. All of these things have a huge effect on how they respond to the different life events, but all it takes is one person to make sure that that experience is great.
All these people here are to celebrate what I would say is just an exemplary educator. If you guys know Mr. DC, his heart is as big as anybody's, and he gives back to his kids. I can't think of a better ambassador for our school district, our state, than you. So on behalf of everybody, we just want to say congratulations to you. Well-deserved honor. Very, very proud of you. Very, very proud of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Darian Cockrell, Mr. DC, as the 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year.
Woo! I'm here. You know, when this whole process started and I knew I was nominated, I think my biggest fear was knowing that if I were to win, that I would have to come here and speak. I am definitely not a public speaker. I'm used to speaking to kindergartners, elementary school, kindergarten through 5th grade. And after seeing, Misty speak last year, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to top that. And I don't want to top that because you're amazing. But I am going to follow up with a lot of the stuff that you talked about. Thank you all. I'm extremely honored to be here in this position to represent all the amazing educators of our state. This entire process has been crazy, but in the best way possible. Thank you to Dr. Margie Van Even, State and Local Boards of Education, Dr. Vic Lentz, Mo Shape, DESE, NEA, MSBA, MSTA, AFT, Aretha Franklin, RESPECT, legislators and administrators across the state, Linda Dooling, my grandmother, my partner in crime, Megan Skokovich, Misty Grandel, who's been so wonderful towards me, my entire Crestwood family, the entire Lindbergh School District, all of my family and friends from back home, my middle school counselor, Mrs. Honeyke. Thank you to Dr. Jody Oliver, who hired me 6 years ago and gave me the best job in the world. None of this would be possible without the support from my beautiful wife, Kimberly Cockrell, and my amazing son, Dawson. And I can't forget about all of our regional teachers of the year and our state finalists. Thank you all. As a physical educator, what I love most about my job is building healthy hearts, providing my students with the skills, tools, and knowledge necessary for them to be successful in life. Exercising, proper nutrition, not doing drugs, stress management. These are just a few of those necessary things that we all should be doing daily to make sure that our hearts are able to function to the best of their ability. But how do we function to the best of our ability as a society? Could it be education? Could education be just as important as exercising to build a healthier heart? What are some of those health benefits of exercise? Exercise helps with weight control. It reduces your risk of heart disease. As we all know, life is not sustainable without a proper functioning heart. Exercise improves your mental health and mood. It also helps keep your thinking, learning, and judgment skills sharp. Now, education makes us better citizens by teaching us how to conduct ourselves through life, by following the rules and regulations, along with giving us a sense of conscience. It can be used for the enhancement of society since it elevates the social and economic conditions in marginalized sections of our country. Education helps us build opinions. It develops our perspective of life while also giving us the knowledge of the world around us and the confidence to make it into something better. So what are some of those benefits of education? Poverty reduction, connecting with others, better communication skills, a greater sense of discipline, and one of my favorites, more productivity. Educators, we are in the profession of transferring knowledge. How do we go about transmitting information efficiently across all schools? I want to make sure that all students and all teachers have access to any and every tool necessary for them to achieve. So in order for our students and our teachers to have that benefit of productivity, they also need equal access to resources and opportunity. By providing access to systemic services and supports for our schools and their families, my hope is that this will allow us to not only meet the needs of our students and their families, but us teachers as well. For if it were not for those resources and opportunities that I was fortunate enough to access along my journey through education, I would not be standing up here in front of you all today. Sadly, like many of my childhood friends and family members growing up, I would be incarcerated or even worse, dead. For those of you who don't know me personally, you would never know that I've had the unique opportunity to live life on both ends of the spectrum. I was born to a drug-addicted mother who had 2 of her 6 kids by the age of 16. My father was murdered before I was 4 years old, and I began my journey in and out of the foster care system not long after my 6th birthday. During these tumultuous times, I truly felt like I was born just to fail. Where am I sleeping? What am I eating? Where's my mama? Walking to the bus stop in the morning. Look at those drug addicts. Pow, pow. Did you hear those gunshots? Wow. Another dead body. 6 Deuce 87 Kitchen Crip gangster. Yep. Your 2021 Missouri Teacher of the Year used to be in a gang. I started from the bottom, and now I'm here. But back then, that was normal to me. That was ordinary life. And sadly, this is the reality for many of those kids living in that same neighborhood where I grew up. Education was not a priority for me in my youth. My reality was a great amount of pain and hardship. Now, fast forward 9 years, and I was fortunate enough to be adopted out of the boys' home by my football coach and his wife, Dennis and Sherry Kaiser, into a situation I could have never dreamed of. My new family, who also happened to be white, provided me with opportunities that helped shape me into the man that I am today. And no, I am not Michael Orr from The Blind Side, although I did have dreams of the NFL. But seriously, through all of the craziness I've experienced in my life, there are multiple events and people that had huge impacts on me. My message for teachers is understanding the power that we have to make positive or negative impacts in the lives of others. When they tell their story, which side do you want to be on? Here's a little bit of my story. My early years in education were horrible in every way possible. I hated school, the students, and many of the teachers too. The school's culture was simply getting through the day. There were fights daily and teachers yelling at us all the time. It was hard for me to build trust or make any kind of connections. The school and those educators left a really bad taste in my mouth. Fortunately, the DSEG program provided me with the opportunity to transfer out of my living environment to a school that best fitted my needs. This was a pivotal point for me in my life. Although still challenging because of my many learning disabilities, my new teachers truly cared. They pushed me and my family. They supported us immensely. Those experiences and connections changed my perspective on both people and school. It truly helped me understand that when I changed the way that I looked at things, the things that I looked at changed. I don't think you guys heard me. I said, when I changed the way that I looked at things, the things that I looked at changed. This was the positive impact that I needed to push me forward on my educational journey. Middle school came with many challenges and setbacks. Although school was a great place, the environment where I lived had a huge influence over me. I truly wanted to value education and be a good kid that lived a normal life. Sadly, gangs and other things became more important than doing homework and trying to improve my grades. Due to my failing grades and a home life that no preteen should ever have to endure, I spent more time in a counselor's office than I did in my classroom. My relationship with my middle school counselor began through the basketball team that she coached me on. But my home life brought us together and closer in a different way. I trusted Miss Hunnicky, and she knew everything there was to know about me, the good and the bad. I went to her for everything. If I was hungry, if I was tired, hurt mentally or physically, sad, happy, you name it. Miss Hunnicky knew my struggles, and she knew that in order for me to be successful, something major had to change. Now imagine being in 7th grade and coming to school and being faced by your counselor, your principal, and your state-appointed social worker, who also, by the way, is holding a huge duffel bag full of your clothes. I was extremely confused. I had no idea what was going on. But then she said 4 words that would change my life forever. You're not going home. Darian, you're not going home. By the end of the day, I was living in a boys' home 3 blocks away from my school. I would spend the next year of my life there. Since that day, where I grew up was never home again. I found out later during my college years that 2 of my teachers, my principal, and my counselor all went to court for me on my behalf. Had it not been for what those educators did for me in that courtroom, the trajectory of my life would have gone in an entirely different direction. This was the greatest, most impactful, and positive effect a teacher has ever had on my life. As educators, I truly believe that we have an unwritten rule on how we should go about teaching. Everything that we do should be in an effort to make connections, build trust, and make sure that every student that we touch finds the success that lies within them. Students are extremely diverse. They have different backgrounds and different home lives. All of these things have a huge effect on how students respond to life events. All it takes is one person, just one, to make that experience great. Why not let it be you who makes that positive impact in the lives of our students? Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That was an incredible story. Thank you for sharing it with us this evening, and you've certainly already impacted our lives. Thank you. Misty, thank you. As we wrap up this evening, I just want to say a couple of things. I think I speak for everyone, Darian, Mr. DC, when we say that we are so excited for the year ahead. It's clear that you will bring an energy to the national discussion that is much needed as we navigate these uncharted waters ahead. I also want to thank our staff. Our staff, particularly in the Office of Educator Quality, including Dr. Paul Katnick, Linda Dooling, and their team, as well as our communications and media production staff who are with us here this evening. I know you all out there know this, but so much goes on behind the scenes. This is a year-long process, and it's due to their dedication and hard work that we're able to do this. So thank you all very, very much for your good work. I'll keep my closing remarks very short, as we've already heard so many great messages and comments tonight. Every year, the event brings such great joy, and we heard that theme throughout the night, and it's just the boost that I think we need. It brings such joy. We get to celebrate educators from across the state who are making a difference every single day. From here forward, everyone who was recognized tonight has a new badge to take away from the festivities. You now wear a badge that says, "I am a top Missouri educator." And I don't quote Spider-Man comics very often, but since we've been talking about superheroes quite a bit tonight, here we go. With great power comes great responsibility. This certainly rings true for tonight and forward. I know each and every one of you who we recognize this evening is up for that challenge. And while I don't know what tomorrow, next week, or even next month might bring in our current path that we're traveling, what I do know is this: our students in our classrooms are being educated, and they're cared for every moment that we are with them as teachers, logging on to lessons. I have heard the stories through our many conversations that Misty referenced earlier, and with other educators throughout our state, that all show the kind of impact that our teachers are having, no matter the way that the instruction is being delivered. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I have never been more proud to be a Missouri educator. Our districts and 55 LEAs, districts and charter schools across the state, are safe havens. They bring comfort and normalcy to our students, who we love so much. So you've already seen firsthand that this school year is unlike one that we've ever seen before. Your daily devotion to providing high-quality education and being a strong leader for your students will make the difference in the lives of every person who comes through your doors or through your Zoom meetings. I so greatly appreciate all of your work. When we all work together, we can help ensure that Missouri's students receive the excellent education that they so deserve. Thank you so much for letting me take part in these festivities, and I wish you the best of luck the rest of the school year. Welcome to the Missouri Teacher of the Year program. Thank you.